Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. You found it. This is your underground source for Bible study that's organic, fresh, locally sourced, and responsibly handled. This is Daily Dose Radio. Well, today we're looking at Psalm 93, and verse 4 is our subject today. Yesterday, we began looking at verse 3. Verse 3 sort of changes the focus. We go from the Lord on his throne in heaven, creating and girding himself with strength and so forth. Now we come to, and of course, the eternal nature of God, which we're going to come back to in verse 5. Then we saw the floods. We came to earth. And on the earth we heard the tumult and the din and the racket of humanity, that great image of men, the floods. I had translated it the streams, the great underground, subterranean, powerful waters that spring up and crash back down upon the earth, making a great racket, trying to reach to the heavens, but never really fully able to go there because God established his throne from of old there. Now we come to verse 4, and let me read verse 4 today. The Lord on high is mightier than the noise of many waters, yea, than the mighty waves of the sea. Now I'll read my translation of that verse. The voices of many waters, the majestic breakers of the sea, the Lord is majestic in the heights of heaven. So we have this contrast now set up for us between the waves and their noisiness and God himself. So the waves are majestic, but they don't come close to comparing to the majestic nature of God. See, the waves have their majesty, but you know what, friends? The majesty of the waves comes from the hand of God. He created them. The majesty of the waves comes through the created order, which God is governor of. He's king of all of that. So even though there is this contrast made, we understand clearly the eternal God in his majesty is so much greater. It's far greater than all that ever he made. And when the waves try to lift up their voices to overwhelm the majesty of God, it's just not even possible. This psalm, especially this verse, reminds me of another psalm in which we have the person of God remembered as king, and we have something of the same kind of tumult going on, and that's Psalm 2. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, Let us break their bands asunder, and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, the Lord shall have them in derision. You see, the Lord is king in heaven, and he sits there and laughs at the great tumult and rage of the people. That's Psalm 2, and we, of course, studied that a long time ago, but Psalm 2 tells us about God as king and the rage of the heathen, and I think it's very much like what we have here in verse 4, the floods, or the voices of many waters and the majestic breakers of the sea are making their noise, but the Lord, he's still in the heights of heaven. And he looks down with his majesty upon those noises. And what does he see? He sees the great tumult of mankind trying to spring up and crash back down upon the earth, trying to reach into the heavens to pull God off the throne. But they cannot, because God made all things. His majesty succeeds and supersedes all things. So the Lord is on high. He is majestic in the heights of heaven. That's a very interesting Hebrew word there, the heights of heaven. So he's back on that throne again. We left the throne in verse 3. We come back to the throne here in verse 4. Remember, it's established of old. The Lord is majestic in the heights of heaven. That's where that throne is that was established of old. He is from everlasting. The waves, well, what happens to waves once they crash upon the seashore? They dissolve. They go back into the water. Well, not the Lord. He is everlasting. The waves are temporary. The Lord is eternal. They have a majesty, yes, but it's only for a moment. He has a majesty which lasts for eternity. Okay, I hope you'll join me again tomorrow on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.